If a woman ignores you, don't chase her. Stay calm, hold your ground, and let silence speak louder than words. Focus on yourself, build your value, and let her wonder what she lost. Respect yourself first, because the way you treat yourself sets the standard for everyone else. When a woman ignores you, the first instinct many men have is to chase after her, demanding answers, explanations, or even validation. But chasing rarely works. It only drains your energy and lowers your value in her eyes. What you need to understand is that energy is everything. The moment you pour it desperately into someone who has pulled away, you communicate weakness. You show that your sense of worth is dependent on her attention. And when a woman senses this, she loses respect. Instead of chasing, you must replace that energy and redirect it back into yourself and your life. Replacing your energy means choosing where your focus goes. Instead of texting her over and over, put that energy into your goals, your health, your craft, your vision. Every ounce of attention you are ready to give her can be invested in yourself. This isn't about ignoring your feelings, but about controlling how you respond to them. Energy flows where attention goes, and if your attention is always on her, you will inevitably lose yourself. But if your attention is on becoming the best version of you, she cannot help but notice the shift in your presence. Women test men to see if their world collapses without them. If she ignores you and you panic chasing after her, you prove that she is the center of your universe. But if you remain calm, grounded, and focused on your own mission, she feels the gravity of your strength. A man who doesn't chase but replaces radiates confidence and self-respect. That is attractive. That is magnetic. Replacing your energy also means reclaiming control of your emotions. Instead of allowing rejection or silence to break you, you transform it into motivation. Every moment she ignores you can become fuel to push harder in life, to refine your mindset, to sharpen your discipline. This is how you shift from needing someone to appreciating them, from dependence to independence. That is the real power, being complete on your own. A man who chases is telling a woman, "My worth comes from you." A man who replaces his energy is telling her, "My worth is already within me." That's a message she cannot ignore. In fact, it often makes her rethink her behavior. When you redirect your focus, she begins to feel the absence of your attention. And absence, when paired with strength, creates curiosity. That curiosity often brings her back. But even if it doesn't, you will be in a stronger position than before. So don't waste your time running after someone who chose to step back. Instead, replace your energy with purpose, growth, and confidence. Chasing only proves desperation. Replacing proves power. And in relationships, power isn't about controlling someone else, it's about controlling yourself. When you do that, you become the type of man who never needs to chase. When a woman ignores you, the worst thing you can do is react emotionally or show desperation. Many men lose control in this situation. They flood her with messages, demand answers, or show visible frustration. But that only pushes her further away. What separates a man who earns respect from one who loses it is the ability to stay calm and collected. A composed man does not allow someone else's behavior to dictate his emotions. He knows that silence or distance from her is not the end of his world because his identity is not tied to her validation. Staying calm is powerful because it shows emotional strength. Women pay close attention to how men handle pressure and uncertainty. If you collapse the moment she ignores you, she sees a man who cannot lead himself, let alone lead a relationship. But when you remain calm, you send a message of quiet confidence that you are not shaken by temporary behavior. This strength often forces her to reconsider because she realizes her ignoring you has no power over you. Being collected means maintaining control over your responses. Instead of firing back with anger or trying to guilt her into giving you attention, you act with patience and composure. You don't chase, you don't argue, you don't beg. You simply hold your ground. This does not mean you tolerate disrespect indefinitely, but it means you respond with dignity, not desperation. Your calmness becomes a mirror, reflecting her behavior back to her, and often that silence makes her question her own choices more than any words could. A calm mindset also allows you to think rationally. When emotions run high, mistakes are easy. Saying something you'll regret, acting out of fear, or making her the priority over your own self-respect. But when you stay collected, you think clearly. Is her ignoring you a test? Is it immaturity? Is it disinterest? By staying calm, you can actually evaluate the situation and decide whether it's worth your energy. You shift from being reactive to being intentional. Staying calm doesn't mean you don't care. It means you value yourself enough not to lose control. A man with self-respect does not need to prove his worth by chasing or over-explaining. He lets his presence, his discipline, and his composure speak louder than words. Ironically, this is often what pulls her back. When she sees that ignoring you does not break you, she starts to wonder why you are so unshaken, why you are so grounded. That curiosity builds attraction and respect. Remaining calm and collected is about protecting your power. When you let emotions dictate your actions, you hand your power over to someone else. But when you stay steady in the face of distance, you show true strength. And strength is what earns both respect and desire. Calmness is not weakness, it is controlled power. When a woman ignores you, the natural instinct is to break the silence. You want to call, text, or confront her to figure out what's wrong, but that instinct usually backfires. The more you push for attention, the less she wants to give it. Silence, when used correctly, is more powerful than any words you could speak. Instead of chasing her with endless attempts, you must learn to match her silence with silence. This doesn't mean playing games. It means respecting yourself enough to withhold your energy from someone who has chosen to withdraw theirs. Silence has weight. When you mirror her silence, you create a space where she has to feel the absence of your presence. That absence forces her to think. Did you notice she pulled away? Do you even care? Is she losing her influence over you? These questions stir in her mind because your silence communicates strength, control, and independence. It tells her without words that you are not desperate, that your world doesn't revolve around her actions. That is far more powerful than 100 unanswered messages. By matching silence with silence, you also protect your dignity. A man who keeps chasing when ignored is giving away his respect. He's saying, "You can devalue me and I will still beg for your attention." But when you hold back and remain silent, you're saying, "I will not give what is not being reciprocated." That kind of restraint commands respect. Even if she doesn't come back, you've maintained your self-worth, and that is something no one can take from you. Silence also shifts the balance of power. If she is ignoring you as a test or to gain control, your calm silence flips the script. She expects you to react, to break down, to chase. When you don't, she's forced to question her strategy. Instead of holding all the power, she starts wondering about your mindset, your priorities, and whether she's losing her place in your life. That uncertainty makes her more likely to come forward. Another advantage of silence is clarity. When you step back and resist the urge to fill the void, you allow the truth to reveal itself. If she truly cares, she will break the silence and reconnect. If she doesn't, her continued distance shows you where she stands. Either way, you gain understanding without compromising yourself. Silence becomes a filter. It shows you who values your presence and who doesn't. Matching silence with silence is not about manipulation. It's about self-control. It's about showing that you value your time and attention too much to waste them on someone who withholds theirs. Women are drawn to men who are not easily swayed, men who don't crumble under pressure, men who stand tall in silence. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is made without a single word. Silence, when mirrored, speaks volumes. It tells her you are not waiting, not begging, not chasing. You are simply moving forward with your own strength intact. Self-improvement is more than a distraction. It's a statement. It says you will not allow someone else's behavior to dictate your growth. When she ignores you, that is the perfect time to pour all the energy you were ready to give her into yourself. Invest in your body, your mind, your finances, your future. Go to the gym and push harder. Pick up a skill you've been neglecting. Sharpen your mind through reading, learning, or building something valuable. Every moment you spend leveling up is a moment that strengthens your confidence. And confidence is far more attractive than chasing attention. When you focus on improving yourself, you create results that speak louder than words. A man who elevates himself doesn't have to beg for validation. His progress demands respect. Imagine she comes back after ignoring you and sees a stronger, more disciplined, more focused version of the man she left behind. That transformation says more than any text you could have sent. Suddenly, she realizes she's dealing with a man who values his own life more than anyone else's approval. That shift changes the entire dynamic. Self-improvement also changes the way you see her silence. Instead of feeling rejected, you see it as an opportunity to grow. Instead of waiting around, you're building momentum in your own journey. This makes you less needy, less reactive, and more in control. The truth is, women are drawn to men who have purpose, men who are moving forward regardless of who is by their side. By focusing on your own development, you naturally embody that energy. Another hidden benefit of self-improvement is clarity. As you work on yourself, your standards rise. You begin to realize that your time and energy are valuable. You won't tolerate being ignored, not because of ego, but because you've built a life that demands respect. That shift often changes the way you respond to women, no longer desperate for attention, but selective about who gets your time. Ironically, this selectiveness makes you more appealing because it shows you are a man with options and direction. Focusing on self-improvement is not about proving her wrong or trying to make her regret ignoring you. It's about becoming a man who doesn't depend on her attention to feel whole. The stronger, wiser, and more disciplined you become, the less her silence affects you. And when you reach that level, you don't just gain her respect, you gain your own. When a woman ignores you, the temptation is to chase her, to break the silence, to remind her of your presence. But chasing only satisfies her ego while stripping away your value. What truly works in your favor is letting her curiosity build. Human nature is wired to desire what it doesn't fully understand. And when you stop feeding her constant attention, she begins to feel the absence. That absence creates questions in her mind, questions that slowly pull her back toward you. Curiosity is a powerful force. When you don't immediately react to her ignoring you, she wonders why. Most men would have blown up her phone, begged for answers, or tried to win her back. But when you choose not to chase, when you choose to go silent, you stand out. She starts to ask herself, why isn't he reacting? Did he lose interest? Is there someone else? Has he moved on? Those thoughts can be more effective than anything you could say because they spark uncertainty, and uncertainty, when paired with silence, becomes magnetic. By letting curiosity build, you give her the space to realize your absence. Attention is addictive. When someone is used to being the center of it and suddenly it's gone, the void is loud. She feels the difference in her day, the lack of validation she once received from you. That shift forces her to reevaluate her own feelings. Often it's not until you pull away that she notices the weight of your presence. Allowing curiosity to grow also puts you in control of the dynamic. Instead of reacting to her behavior, you're choosing to hold your ground. This makes her come to you rather than you chasing after her. And when she does, it's not because you begged, it's because she chose to out of her own desire. That difference is everything. It shows her that you are a man with self-respect, one who doesn't crumble when tested. But here's the key. Letting curiosity build doesn't mean sitting around waiting for her. It means living your life with purpose and confidence. When she sees you moving forward, focused on yourself, enjoying life without her, her curiosity intensifies. She wants to know why her absence doesn't shake you. She wants to know what has your attention now. And that intrigue draws her closer than any pleading ever could. The truth is, women respect men who are not easily swayed, men who don't make them the center of their world. By stepping back and letting her wonder, you create an aura of mystery. Mystery feeds curiosity, and curiosity feeds attraction. When you let her curiosity build, you shift the balance. You are no longer the one waiting for her. She's the one watching you. And in that shift, she begins to chase the very man she once ignored. When a woman ignores you, it's easy to feel the urge to compromise, to lower your expectations just to win her back. Many men tolerate disrespect in silence, thinking patience will eventually bring her closer. But what really earns respect is the ability to set clear standards. Standards define how you expect to be treated, and they communicate your worth without you needing to beg for it. If you don't have them, you'll find yourself chasing after scraps of attention, constantly questioning where you stand. When you do have them, you don't need to explain or defend yourself. Your actions speak louder than words. Setting standards is not about control, it's about self-respect. When you tolerate being ignored repeatedly, you tell her that your time, energy, and emotions can be taken for granted. But when you draw a line, silently or directly, you show that you value yourself too much to be treated as an option. Women notice this. They might test boundaries, but deep down they respect a man who enforces them. Weakness may get you temporary attention, but strength earns lasting respect. Clear standards also eliminate confusion. If she knows you don't tolerate constant ignoring, games, or mixed signals, she must decide whether she wants to rise to that level or step aside. Either outcome benefits you. If she chooses to respect your boundaries, the relationship grows healthier. If she doesn't, you save yourself from wasted time and deeper disappointment. Standards filter out the wrong people and attract the right ones because the right woman will always respect a man who respects himself. When you set standards, you also protect your emotional balance. Instead of being at the mercy of her behavior, you operate from principle. This allows you to remain calm even when tested. You no longer wonder, what should I do if she ignores me? Because you already know your answer. You don't chase, you don't beg, and you don't settle for less than mutual respect. This clarity gives you strength, and that strength changes the way she views you. Standards are not spoken through long explanations or ultimatums. They are shown through consistent action. If she ignores you and you immediately start chasing, your actions reveal your lack of standards. But if she ignores you and you choose to pull back, to protect your energy, you silently communicate what you accept and what you don't. Over time, this earns more respect than any words ever could. In the end, setting clear standards is about valuing yourself first. When you know your worth, you don't need to beg anyone to recognize it. And the irony is, the moment you stop tolerating disrespect, you become more attractive. Women are drawn to men who have unshakable boundaries because it signals strength, independence, and leadership. By setting clear standards, you not only protect yourself, you position yourself as the kind of man who will never need to chase. When a woman ignores you, it's easy to slip into insecurity and self-doubt. Many men make the mistake of abandoning their strength, questioning their worth, and handing over all their power. But this is the exact moment you must reclaim your masculine frame. Your frame is your foundation. It's your energy, your confidence, your direction, and the way you carry yourself regardless of external circumstances. When you hold your frame, you don't crumble under pressure, and you don't let someone else dictate your emotional state. Reclaiming your masculine frame begins with presence. Instead of shrinking when she withdraws, you expand. You stand tall, grounded, and composed. A woman may test you by pulling away, but what she's really watching is how you handle it. If you stay steady, she feels your strength. If you lose control, she sees weakness. The man who holds his frame communicates that he is centered, that his sense of worth comes from within, not from her attention. That energy is magnetic because it reflects independence and leadership. Another part of reclaiming your frame is control over emotions. Masculine strength isn't about being cold or unfeeling. It's about being in command of yourself. When you're ignored, the urge to lash out or beg for answers is strong, but that's exactly what destroys respect. A man in his frame doesn't react impulsively. He chooses his responses with intention. His silence, his composure, his refusal to chase, these are all demonstrations of power. Reclaiming your frame also means focusing on your mission. Masculine energy thrives on purpose. When a woman senses that your entire world revolves around her, she loses attraction because she doesn't feel the depth of your leadership. But when you are locked into your goals, your growth, and your vision, she feels your strength without you needing to prove it. The man in his frame is not easily distracted. He stays aligned with what matters most, and that alignment makes him stand out. It's also important to remember that your frame sets the tone of every interaction. If you bend to her moods, if you abandon your boundaries the moment she ignores you, you are no longer leading, you are following. And leadership is at the core of masculine energy. Women naturally test men to see if they can stand firm, and those who can't lose her respect. Holding your frame is not about dominance. It's about stability. It's about being unshaken in a world that constantly tries to pull you off balance. Reclaiming your masculine frame is ultimately about self-respect. It's the ability to stand tall in silence, to focus on your path, to lead yourself first before expecting anyone else to follow. When you hold this energy, you don't need to chase, you don't need to explain, and you don't need to prove anything. She either aligns with your strength or she removes herself from your life. Either way, you remain grounded in who you are, unshaken and in control. When a woman ignores you, the most important thing you can do is to respect yourself first. Too often, men forget this simple truth. They place a woman's attention above their own dignity, chasing her approval while abandoning their own worth. But here's the reality. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how everyone else treats you. If you don't respect yourself, no one else will. Respecting yourself starts with valuing your time and energy. When you continue to give to someone who withholds attention, you communicate that your value is negotiable. You're essentially saying, I'll accept less than I deserve just to keep you around. That mindset only invites more disrespect. But when you hold back, when you refuse to beg, when you protect your energy, you're showing that your time is too valuable to be wasted. That strength commands respect, not just from her, but from anyone who observes how you live. Self-respect is also about boundaries. If she ignores you once, it might be situational. But if it becomes a pattern and you continue to tolerate it, you're teaching her that she can treat you that way without consequence. Respecting yourself means drawing a line silently or directly that makes it clear you won't entertain consistent disrespect. Women may not admit it, but they admire a man who has standards. Weakness might attract temporary interest, but strength creates lasting respect. When you put yourself first, you also protect your emotional balance. Instead of spiraling into anxiety or overthinking every moment of silence, you remind yourself that your worth isn't dependent on someone else's attention. This shift in perspective gives you control. You're no longer at the mercy of her actions. You're grounded in your own identity. A man who respects himself doesn't collapse when ignored. He evaluates whether she aligns with his values, and if not, he has no problem walking away. Respecting yourself first also builds attraction naturally. Women are drawn to men who carry themselves with dignity, who don't grovel for attention, who don't compromise their worth for temporary validation. When you put yourself first, you communicate without words that you're not desperate, that you have options, and that your life is bigger than any one person. That aura of self-respect creates curiosity and often makes her question why her silence doesn't affect you the way she expected it to. Respecting yourself first is about choosing you before choosing anyone else. It's not arrogance, it's self-value. It's understanding that your life, your peace, and your growth matter more than chasing someone who doesn't recognize your worth. And here's the paradox. When you respect yourself deeply, others have no choice but to respect you too. The more you honor yourself, the less you'll ever need to demand respect from others. It will come naturally because you've already set the standard. When a woman ignores you, the worst mistake you can make is abandoning yourself in the process. Every part of this speech has carried one core message. Your power lies in self-respect, composure, and control over your own energy. Don't chase, replace your focus with growth. Stay calm and collected instead of reacting emotionally. Match silence with silence and let her curiosity do the work. Pour your energy into self-improvement. Set standards that protect your dignity and hold firm to your masculine frame. Above all, respect yourself first, because the way you value yourself teaches others how to value you. Whether she returns or stays gone, you remain unshaken, stronger, and more aligned with who you are. That is true power, the kind that doesn't need to beg, but simply attracts.